Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Podcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does up. I'm your host, Tom. It's Christmas, Grossi, and today we are going to be previewing a game between the Cleveland Browns and the Green Bay Packers to be held at Lambeau Field on Christmas Day. And to help me break down the game and talk all about being a Browns fan, oh, ladies and gentlemen, met him at a party one time. Met him at a party. Had some talks, had some drinks, had some laughs. He is the husband of the world-renowned Maggie Loney. But now we're getting the other half. Ladies and gentlemen, a Browns fan in a house divided, Mr. Mark Loney.
Hey, thanks for having me.
How was that intro, Mark? Was that okay?
That was beautiful.
Was it solid? Okay.
No, that was great.
Thank you. I
You
tried
thought
my
that
best
on the
for you.
spot.
I tried my best for you. I did.
I can see why you did this full time now. The fact that just came naturally was really nice.
Yeah, it just pours out of me like liquid concrete.
Although you probably got used to bullshitting on the spot when you were a teacher.
Oh yeah, exactly. But Mark, I'm so happy to have you on to talk about this. And for people who don't know, so yes, this is Maggie Loney's of Pax What She Said. This is Maggie Loney's husband, Mark Loney, who you see all the Packers memorabilia and the Christmas lights in the background. Mark, however, is repping the Browns over here. Right, I see it. It's hiding a little bit, but it's there.
There's a Njoku poster.
Oh,
That's an
okay.
Njoku poster.
So Maggie was like, "That's the one thing that you can have up over here." Like that's
Yep.
that's fine.
That's because it's both of us. It's allowed. We went
you know
to that
what?
game too.
That's fair enough. But buddy, I'm so happy to have you on. It's been a while since I've talked to a Browns fan, so I kind of want to. The last time I did, it was a lot of doom and gloom. It was like 4 years ago, and it was kind of like, yeah, we suck. Life sucks. Everything is pain. But this time, maybe a little less pain, like just a little bit, because like the last time I talked to him, I mean, like we were talking about potentially winning one game in 2 years. So we've at least improved. We've climbed up the mountain at least a little bit.
Yes.
Just a smidge. So for you, can you explain to me, how did you come about to be a Cleveland Browns fan? Was this something that was like you grabbed a cursed dagger like from a crypt that you shouldn't have touched, and they're like, you're now a Browns fan for life? Was it something that was passed on, like hereditary? You did like a 23andMe, you saw it in the DNA test? What do we got?
So I'm actually not from Cleveland. I went to Cleveland for the first time like 4 years ago to watch the last time the Packers and the Browns played. It's a weird story. I grew up around a lot of family members, and we had a PlayStation, and we had a copy of Madden, and I had a cousin who, always being from Wisconsin, always wanted to play as the Packers.
Of course.
So as family members are to do, it started as a joke because he wanted to play as the Packers. Like, oh no, Mark, little tiny Mark. So, oh no, little tiny Mark, the Browns, they're a brand new team because, back when they were coming back in 99, they're a brand new team. They're building up the hype. They are one of the best teams in the NFL. So I'm going to let you play as the Browns. I'll play as the Packers, and we'll play. And for months, I remember in elementary school, just telling all my friends, oh no, I'm a Browns fan. They're coming around. They're this amazing team. My cousin's telling me all about him being the football fan of the family. He's the Cleveland Browns. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. And after a couple months, it was revealed to my entire family that it was a joke. And as a small child, I made a vow that I would be a Cleveland Browns fan for my entire life, because I knew one day it would pay off, and one day the roles would be reversed, and I would be the one laughing as the Cleveland Browns fan in a family of Packer fans. And to this day, we're still waiting to have that laugh. But
wow.
Yeah, it was all a joke, and I was just too petty too petty to let it go. And I said, nope, one day you're going to regret this. And here we are, Cleveland Browns fan. I've been following them casually. I'm nowhere near to the level of Maggie, but when me and Maggie first started dating, that was one of those things where Maggie, knowing what she does, takes football to the next level. And it was always just so interesting, seeing both of our teams play through the playoffs, see how we do, common opponents and things like that. And to this day, I'm still a Browns fan, and it's just a fun ride, man. It's such a fun ride.
Dude, that might be one of the greatest villain origin stories that I've ever heard in my life. Like, they're like,
it's a weird story.
Why I'm blowing up the moon. Like, that's a great story.
And it's always so funny because, like, if I'm seeing someone, like, oh, my family got me rooting for him years ago. Like, that's just what I tell people. But it's like, they did get me rooting for them. But I'm the only, I don't know. We have no other Browns fans in the family. And it's just me against the world.
What I love about that is, like, now the next question I have, like, is your cousin now selling like diet pills like out of their garage? Like, is that one of those things? Because, like, snake oil salesman for the win, who's like, oh no, Mark, pick the Browns.
Oh gosh, no, we still laugh about every, I don't see him very often with him moving, but we still laugh about it every time. He still brings it up, and he's a big fan of Maggie's work, follows her on everything and listens to her. And so we always have a chuckle every time we see. And like I said, I think it was for the best because I enjoy watching the Browns. I know maybe it's because I've never had that continued success that a lot of Packer fans of my age grew up with. But I mean, it's just fun. And it's just like, you just grab a couple drinks, and you don't know what's going to show up. And it's just a thrill, man. I don't know if I see my wife, for how many years go, man, it's Super Bowl or bust. And that seems way more stressful. I just show up with a 6-pack for the game and go, let's ride.
Ride like the wind, baby. Let's see where it takes us. I mean, like, you're basically, like, the bar is so low that, like, if you could get a win, you're just like, today was a good day. Like, this has been a great season.
And that's phenomenal. What it is. That's what it is. Honestly, my biggest fear is to be one of those, like, not the middle of the road teams where you're constantly stuck in a cycle of, like, ooh, I expect to win, but then you never make it. And then you draft, like, middle of first round. You just get a player that statistically makes a lot of sense, but isn't going to change your team all that much. And you're just in that cycle forever. That's my biggest fear. It's like, I love, like, shooting for the moon. I love just hoping to, like, show up and win a game every once in a while. I don't want that middle in between. I need those variables. I need that excitement in my life.
It keeps you grounded, because it's just like, hey, if my blood pressure isn't skyrocketing, like, during a game, then what are we doing here?
Like, oh yeah, I mean, even look at last Browns game. It was so much fun. Just like, I don't know, like, who's this QB? Looking him up on Wikipedia. It's like, oh, apparently broke some high school records. It's like, okay, cool. Like, let's buy a Mullins jersey and go. It's so much fun. I love that. That's what I live
like
for.
Nick Mullins seems like a cool guy to me. Drink every single time he throws an interception.
I literally looked him up on Wikipedia on the first one of the first lines, just broke Brett Favre's high school record. I'm like, okay, so he's a better Brett Favre. We're golden. And just ran into that game with so much hype.
I love that so much. That was probably one of the best origin stories I've ever heard in my life. So you kind of been with them since like your childhood. You've been with them for a while, so you have seen the lows.
Well, like, and it's really funny because to me, and you look at all the great history that team has, and being a lot of Packer fans feel the same way. The history is so much of the team.
Yeah. To
me, because I was so young, not from the era, I never had family. Like, the Browns didn't exist before '99 to me. So, I mean, this is it. Like, I love the history of the franchise, but, like, for me, I've always been a fan during that era, you know, so it's just like that to me is all I've known. I've been there for the long haul.
So you experienced like the winless season. You experienced, the one win and everyone gets free Bud Light. Like
Yes.
can you like tell me that 2 year period where you are literally not winning a game except you finally win one? Is that one of those things like the bar is so low that like there is an amount of hype that's like, oh my God, if we win a game, I'm going wild. If we win
And that's
one
exactly
game.
what happened. And there's been so many stories like that. It's so much fun. I had a Bud Light locked up in my fridge at my old apartment with Maggie. I came home to a padlock on one of those tall boy Bud Lights we got at the gas station for 99 cents. And she was like, here, you can join in the fun. And you just like, that's all you're hoping for. It's just that one win. And it's just a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm the kind of person that just, I watch sports to have fun. And so when the bar is that low and all I need to do is root for that one win, you never know when it's coming. You never,
Sure.
it's not like you can just like, if you're going to win that one game, it's just going to be a fluke. So it's not like, okay, we got to wait till we hit the bad opponents versus the good.
Yeah.
Every game is just a thrill. Like I said, every game is Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, like, the thing is, too, is because you had a series that, like, the draft picks didn't work out. You're going after QBs. You're bringing, like, old man Whedon in, right? And he's chewing on a piece of hay, and he's like, listen, I might be 48 years old, but I'm still going to sling it.
Oh.
And as of late, though, there's been a bit of a turnaround all of a sudden in which successes abound. Last year, going to the playoffs, the Steelers, they were like, oh, yeah, they'll be fine. We'll let them in. That's fine. So you're watching that wild card game, and from the second it starts, pandemonium?
Yeah. Oh, that was fun. And I think it was just, that was kind of where the tables turned. It was like, okay, now we've been the punching bag for how long? Like that was a fun game to watch. And it was kind of, and that was when I remember that game finished. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have expectations and this is going to hurt. This is going to really hurt. And that's I remember that. I was like, I think I was texting someone, talking to someone, and I was talking shit. And I was like, oh no. Like, this is where it starts. I was worried. I was like, nope. Like, I'm becoming who I hate.
God, is this hope?
Yeah, right.
You're like, I've lived as the Grinch for so long.
That's exactly it.
Going too big.
Just showing up for fun. It's like, oh no, what am I gonna do? Like, we really should win this game, but it feels wrong. It feels dirty.
Yeah. Expectations are, I mean, because that has to feel like going against the Chiefs, and you're like, oh God, like, are we gonna win? Like, is this what's gonna happen? And then like the backup QB comes in and beats you, and you're like, okay, now that's a little bit better.
Right? Back in my we're back in my hole. I feel comfortable in my little. I feel comfortable.
I poked my head out to see if there is a longer winter and early spring, and now I'm back in. That's it. So for you, like, all right, so you have like kind of this big surge, because I will be honest, I was streaming that Browns Steelers game. There's been very few moments where I've cheered that hard for another team, because it was like that. It's like the Browns, they haven't been there, and the Steelers have been like the big bad wolf in that division. And then it's finally like, hey, we're not just going to beat you. We are going to kick your ass and embarrass you on national TV. Like, it was just an awesome moment for me, and I'm not even a Browns fan.
Yeah, it was just fun. And that's why I like the NFL as a whole. I'm not a big sports fan in general,
Sure.
But I love the NFL. Then that's one of the things I love is all those, how fast a team can turn around and how fast a team can look like a winner then a loser. And you never know what's going to happen every season. Everyone thinks they have it, they have it nailed down. And then you just always get this random black horse in the race that you never expect. And that's why I like the NFL in general. So it makes cheering for the Browns fun because of that, I think. And I think a lot of people, it's so funny because they're kind of that team that you can't hate much unless you're from like you're playing in the AFC North. Like, you don't really hate the Browns. You always want the Browns to succeed as long as they're not as long as they're not, playing your team. So that's always fun, getting texts from everyone being like, "Oh wow, like you got close, man. You almost had that." Those are always really fun to get.
Almost. It's like, what is that old, like, is that a Geico commercial where the guy, like the old guy with the dollar on the fishing pole, he's like, oh, almost got it. You almost got it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's okay. He's just a Browns fan. It's fine. So, like, you have this success, and then heading into this season, are there expectations now for this season? Because you're like, all right, we got Nick Chubb, we got Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield, like the defense is starting to look good. Myles Garrett's a monster. Like, is there like this expectation of like, hey, like we might be able to do something here?
I know, yeah, and I think that was it's kind of funny, like because I casually follow some people on like Twitter and things like that, and it's really interesting because for how many years, like I always follow, like we need the consistency, we need the consistency. Someone, how many times? Oh no, Hugh Jackson just needs one more year. Like how long I heard that, and now that you have so many, like I would say Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. We got Kareem Hunt, Chubb, and we have Myles Garrett, and you now hear the mumblings of the problems the coaching staff, and it's just like, oh no, like let's not go back to that.
Here we go again.
That's exactly it. I was like, oh no, like don't tell Jimmy Haslam, like as soon as someone says they don't like the coach staff, he's gonna be out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's those expectations, and again, like I said, I'm kind of worried about them. Because this isn't the Browns team I'm used to. So it's like, I'm just here to have fun. It's just like
here to have a good time.
Exactly.
What's interesting too, and I think this perfectly like encapsulates like what it means to be a Browns fan, is like this past Monday, first of all, you got moved out of Saturday because literally like your entire team got COVID. Yep. Then on Monday, because of how the AFC North shook up on Sunday, you either could have been in first place in the division or last place in the division. And there's no in between. But the best part is you can still win the division.
Yes, like, we still can after that loss still.
So my question to you is like, what the hell is the AFC North? Like, what is it, Mark?
I have no idea. I'm the kind of guy that goes to like all the statistic websites, and I love watching, if this game happens, like how do the odds switch and things like that.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. Like I remember just like refreshing and I love like doing that, like just checking the page every Sunday. But like, okay, someone beat someone and now my odds like tripled into making the playoffs. And because of one win, everyone is 8-7. Like I know what's going on. I love that. That's always super fun. And it's really interesting to see that now, because when I was younger, the NFC was always that always had like teams you never knew what was going to happen. Yep. Whereas the AFC every year was Colts, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady. Like they're just leading the division, and everyone else is just kind of showing up to a wild card game. And now to see that switch where it's like there's a lot more consistency, I feel, in the NFC versus the AFC. It's kind of weird to be that, okay, like every game matters now because we all have the same record somehow.
Yeah. I mean, the AFC as a whole, like just as a conference, is insane. Like you look and see like who's in contention. You're like, okay, there's like an 8th and a 9th seed in the NFC. Like maybe they could get it. And then you look on over here and like the Broncos could make the playoffs because there's like 12 teams out of like the 16 that could actually make it. So like your division in particular, like nobody can clinch this week. No, like nobody. So which is insane. And then you just go for, and like the Bengals, all of a sudden, like they started off red hot and they were doing really well. Then they kind of cooled down a little bit. The Browns, you guys have just kind of had like that up and down season where it's like, oh my God, they're so never mind, right? The Steelers, they show up for the fourth quarter every now and then, right? When Ben Roethlisberger's not a literal tree. And the Ravens, they were injured from the moment they stepped on the football field. So it's just crazy to look at your division, and it's week 16. We have 3 games left, and it's kind of like, I don't know who's going to win.
That's the fun part about football, though, right? You never know. It's any given Sunday. I love that.
Well, I think it's funny, too, because you talked about kind of the differences, like watching Maggie watch the Packers and being like, oh, look, you guys won a Super Bowl again. Huh, it's crazy, right? And then you're just like, we got 3 wins this season. Got them. But like if you look at even that exists now, because like the Packers, they won their division last week. Like they're done. They're just like, all right, now we're trying to get the 1 seed. And like, does that create kind of just like that friendly rivalry even more so. And it's just like, must be nice in your ivory tower, like looking down on all of us when I'm like, hey, we're just trying to get like 2 wins in a row here.
I don't know. I like to look at it as, again, one day I might be on top, but it's just it is fun. It's so, man. I remember she was watching the Browns play this, and she was like, I don't know how you do this. Like, I don't know. She's like, your offense is so inconsistent. Like, your defense shows up, and then you need them to play for another 1 minute of the game to keep them from kicking a field goal, and for whatever reason they just don't show up. There's penalties everywhere. She's like, I don't know how you do this. And so I don't think we really have that much rivalry. I think it'd be a lot harder if I was in the division. I don't think we'd be married if I was a Vikings fan.
I don't know if I'd be talking to you, buddy. I don't know.
I don't think we'd be married if I was a Vikings fan, but like, because we only play each other once every 4 years, it makes it easy. And I'm a go with the flow kind of guy. So for me, it's just a Sunday. For her, it's a little more personal, a little more intense. But for me, it's just a Sunday.
You're on a float on the lazy river, just saying, current, take me.
Exactly. And I think, and I don't know, like, I see so many people who are pessimistic about this team online, and they just get ripped to shreds. And it's so funny because, you have all these Browns social media personalities.
Yeah.
It's just so fun. I mean, even one of oh gosh, can't remember his name. I think his name is McNeil on Twitter. He organized the parade, the 0-16 parade, doing a around the stadium, and it's just part of the culture. As weird as that is, like, the team is the fans have accepted that they're not the best team. But you always see like that joking, and I don't see that with a lot of other football teams. No. When everything goes down, it's just a lot of doom and gloom on social media, where the Browns is just a bunch of guys we're like 6 beers in, just like, all right, like, here we go.
What are we gonna get today?
Exactly.
Well, it's funny because you did mention about like social media people and what have you. So when I started this podcast back in 2015, I did not know about a member of the Browns beat who apparently I share the same last name with, and that is Tony Grossi. And apparently he is not well liked.
Oh yeah,
it's Browns fans.
You're not a Browns fan until you've been blocked by him on Twitter.
So my short story about this is the first time 4 years ago when I needed a Browns fan, I went on the Browns subreddit and I said, need a Browns fan. And immediately they're like, who's this asshole? Oh, is this Tony Grossi? And I'm like, no, it's Tom Grossi. Like, you related to him? You like a nephew? You a son? What are you? And I was like, no, I swear to God. Like, so now in my Twitter bio, it literally says not related to Tony Grossi, because especially when he like made comments about like Baker Mayfield and stuff, then I was like, oh, I see why people hate him.
Oh yeah, I can't tell you how many times just like watching, post game stuff by Baker Mayfield. You can tell when it's his question because he rolls his eyes. I've heard him a couple times say, "Come on, Tony, come on." It's always a blast.
It's kind of amazing. So for you, because there is kind of this, and it might just be outside media, these thoughts on Baker Mayfield. You obviously have the running game. You have one of the best, if not the best, running tandem in the entire league with Chubb and Hunt. On top of that, the defense, like I said, is getting pretty darn good. You've invested so much into that. I really love Denzel Ward, for example. Mm-hmm. But for you on Baker Mayfield, like, where are you with him? Like, is he like the guy? Like, is that the $1 million question? Because there's days where it's like, wow, he's amazing. And there's days where he's not. And he's like, well, he also tore his arm off. He's obviously like a tough player. Like, where are you on your QB?
I like to see him play. I mean, obviously he's not top bill talent. I think if you build around him, you can make him work, especially when you have 2 amazing running backs. I think he's serviceable and gets the job done. I also think his personality fits Cleveland really well, which is kind of why I love him.
Yeah.
He just like, you just open up social media, you see he's post something, and you go, oh, you dumbass. And then you see all of Cleveland like rally behind him because like, yeah, that's my guy, picking fights and saying dumb stuff.
That's awesome.
As a QB, I think he works for the city. He's hard. again, he's hard to say if he's the guy,
Sure.
but I wouldn't be sad if he stuck around. I think the city likes him, the team likes him, the locker room likes him. And, even seeing him and Myles Garrett interact when they're practicing and things like that
Yeah.
is really good to see. And I just like to see that as a fan of the sport, just see them get, competitive when it's just practices and offense and defense talking junk to each other. It's always, like I said, I like him. I could see him not sticking around, but I think he's a good fit. And especially if your other option is some sort of journeyman QB that you don't know is going to be there, that
Yeah.
is not the answer, might as
Sure.
well keep him. Enjoy the ride, like I said.
Exactly. I mean, so, it's funny because like a contract extension talk, like it's going to be coming sometime soon,
Mhm.
right? About like, keeping him on. And I think it's just super interesting, just the approach that you have about like it's like such a casual fandom, which I'll be very honest, in my 5 years, and I've interviewed someone every single week of the regular season and in the playoffs, it's a rarity, because you said something in this interview of like, sports are fun for me. Like, I like it. Like,
Yes.
I watch it to have fun. I don't watch to be miserable. And if you've ever like watched the Packers go down like 7 points in the first quarter, and it's one of my live streams, you would have thought a nuke just got detonated. Aaron Rodgers
Yes.
punched someone's mother in the face. And it's just like, it's the worst this team has ever been. The defense is garbage. Fire everybody. And it's just kind of like a breath of fresh air that it's like, nah, I like watching my team play. I hope we win.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess that's how sports always were for me.
Yeah.
And Maggie,
It's healthier. It's just
yeah,
healthier.
probably more beers than I should have consumed because of the Cleveland Browns.
I mean,
but-
I would say maybe mentally.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's just and as bad as it sounds, I love a close game. I love a nail biter. It
Yeah.
hurt to see that loss, last week on Tuesday, or I guess this week on Tuesday, last week,
Monday.
whatever, on Tuesday, or Monday. But yeah, it's just fun to watch it. Like, I like the nail biter. I like every minute mattering, and even if it doesn't end up in our favor, you just tell yourself, or you tell yourself always next week. And if you can't tell yourself that way, you tell yourself it's next year, and you just kind of, whatever draft pick it is, you just root behind them 100%. You stand by them, and you just get excited.
There, this is gonna be an out there thing, but you made me see it as like, well, maybe next week. Well, maybe next week. Did you ever watch Mad Men when it was on?
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
have such a bad attention span. I can't watch a TV show for like more than
It's
20
pretty
minutes.
slow. So, but there's a quote from that in which the mom's like talking to her daughter, who's one of the main characters, and she's like talking about like love trouble and all this stuff. The daughter's complaining about this guy or whatever, and she's like, "Here's what you do: you go out and you get a cat, and after a few years, you get another cat, and after that one passes, you get another cat, and then you're done." like it reminded me, if it's like, hey, next week, oh, the season's over, next season, let's get it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna just be chilling with my cats, and that's it, baby.
We're just gonna keep going and keep going and keep going. And yeah, this team's gonna win Super Bowl. I'm gonna die, but
Well,
I'm
I mean,
okay.
like it has to be like when it does happen. Because, right, if we're just going probability, there's going to be a time where, like, the Browns are looking real good. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but, like, there's going to be a time. And, like, that that euphoria that you're going to feel is going to be like, wow, I've been holding this for so long. Now, look at us go. It might be next year when Jordan Love starts, and then Maggie's, like, throwing things at the TV, and you're like, hey, we're sitting at 6-7 looking pretty right now. That might be it.
I know, it's so funny because when we went to Cleveland to see the Packers play the Browns in Cleveland, we were talking to some of the hotel staff, and he was talking about when the Cavs won and what happened to that city and how crazy it was. He's like, if the Browns win, this city is just burning down.
Oh, it's done.
They're like it's just gonna be worse Philadelphia, like when the Eagles won. He's like, everyone's gonna be in the street, cars turning over. He's like, this city just loves football. They're a city that's very prideful of their, get down and dirty kind of lifestyle. So he's like, they just love the sport, and they win a Super Bowl, just all of Cleveland up in flames. And it'll be great.
That's honestly, that's kind of what I thought was going to happen in Milwaukee when the Bucks won the NBA championship. Because I was there and I was like, all right, I'm ready. I heard a couple gunshots and that was it. I was like, really? Like there was no one climbing any light posts. Like there, like I was like, there's no fires. Not that I was hoping for it, but I was like, oh, okay, like we're just drunk and every bar is a $20 cover. Okay, that's not really what I expected, but it's whatever. But yeah, no, I can see Cleveland imploding on itself in a good way.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not property damage and won't be great if you don't have insurance, but in a good way, in a happy way.
I'm not saying a car will be tipped over. There's a chance a car will be tipped over.
It's going to be doing it. Mark's going to fly to Cleveland and flip it over himself. That might just be the thing. He's like, screw you.
Just one guy's pulling on the bumper. Just like, I'm doing this for you, Ohio.
So this Saturday, Christmas Day, Browns Packers, you are going to the game with Maggie. And I know like before this, it was like, oh, do we go? It's Christmas and all this stuff. So for you, like, what does it mean just to be there and experience what is going to be a once in a lifetime thing?
I'm just so excited. It's one of those things that obviously means a lot to me and Maggie. So the fact that we don't play a lot, like we, just being from different divisions, it's just so special. Like, it's cheesy, but it's so special just to be able to experience that with someone else at a place that's, and we went to Cleveland to watch, like I said before, to watch them, but especially at some place like Lambeau where I got married. So it's just like,
don't you worry.
Yeah. So it's just a lot of, I always, every time we go there, Maggie knows I feel like half that city, but it's like good to see people that I know and just, get to talk football, and we both get to cheer, we both get to root. And I think it's a lot easier because both of us know if we, I don't know, maybe not Maggie, but if the Browns lose, I'm ready. Like, I'm okay with it. I don't know about Maggie.
Maggie's not going to be okay. Like she's not going to be like, oh, we'll get him next week. Nay.
I guess that's true, but it's just fun to be able to experience that, because it always feels like we both like football, but it definitely feels like two separate teams. But just to have that in a place like Lambeau, that's so special to me in general. It's just, I'm really excited for it, and can't go wrong with tailgating.
No, definitely not. And before we get into like the actual game itself, you brought it up. Perfect transition. You guys got married at Lambeau Field.
We did.
Was that ever a negotiable, or was that just like, this is where it's happening?
So this is how the wedding discussion went. I took a Post-it note. I wrote a number on it. I slid it over to her, and I said, anything more than this, like, the mafia is going to come after me. Like, if you can keep it under this number, anything. And she said, okay. And we got married at Lambeau. We got a discount for having them cater us. And then they asked us which food we would like for the wedding. And they were like, you want like the filet mignon, we do the prime rib or the salmon. We do a veggie option. And we like scroll to the bottom of the list and we go, what's this tailgate package you have? Like, oh, well, that's for like school functions where we serve bratwurst and pulled pork. Yeah, we'll do that for the wedding. And so we say, so that's how we made the budget. We fed people bratwurst and pulled pork at our wedding, and we fed them donuts for dessert instead of a fancy cake. But that's amazing. My gosh, it was so much fun. We had so many cool pictures. We got married under the scoreboard, like outside. So we have all of our pictures, looking over Lambeau Field. It was just a blast. It was so much fun, and it felt like Lambeau just because of those things like donuts and bratwurst for food, and just Maggie's first dance was "The Bears Still Suck." So it was just a hoot all around.
That's phenomenal.
She's good at polka. She's a good polka dancer.
That's absolutely phenomenal. So you're heading back on Saturday. A game that, it's not necessarily a must win, but like it would be helpful if they did, in the craziness that is your division. Kind of, what are you looking at coming off a short week? Because the NFL is like, hey, you're still playing, moving you to Monday. It's a short week. How do you see the game playing out? I know you're not a big expectations guy, but how do you see that one going?
I mean, I guess I'll have more information when I know who my quarterback is going to be.
Might be helpful.
Yeah, it might be helpful. But I don't know. I'm hoping to see, and I know it sounds bad, but I do want to see Myles Garrett sack Aaron Rodgers just because I love him as a player. He's so much fun to watch. No broken collarbone. I want him to get up and have nothing more than a stain on his shirt, but it would be
Oh,
kind of
buddy.
cool.
If
It would
he
be kind of
hurts
cool to
Aaron
add him to the.
Rodgers,
It would. Oh man.
oh, buddy.
If he okay, real talk. If he tackles Aaron Rodgers, sacks him, and Aaron Rodgers limps off the field, I just leave that stadium.
You just,
Like,
you
it's
just
the
walk
only-
out and just be like,
it's
I'll
just-
see you at home.
I'm not saying a word. Just beer down on the coast or down on the bench and just walking out. Like, I'm not. It's not worth ending my life.
Nope. Nope.
But God, I know it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be hard to watch. It's because the Browns just their run, especially if we're not even playing our starting QB, it's just gonna be either a lot of running or a lot of ugly throws. So my expectations are for it to be a close game. That's what I want more than anything.
Yeah.
I don't. Again, it only happens one every 4 years. I don't want to go there and see my team score one field goal. That would hurt a little bit. So as long as it's a close game, I would love to see, I like all the cliche stuff. I love to see Myles Garrett sack. I love to see Nick Chubb make big runs. I just want it to be a close game. I don't want the end of the year narrative to just be, look at this team that was hyped up and that's just to decline into nothing. I want them to at least end the season. People think, okay, there's still hope. We don't need to blow up everything yet.
Sure. I think it can be close. Because your guys are a power running team. Who knows if Kenny Clark is going to be back? And that's a big loss that we have. MVS, he's got the COVIDs now, and we don't know if he's going to be back. But this is one of those games I circled immediately, not just because it was on Christmas, but I was like, hey, this might be a tough one. The AFC North has kind of given it to us this year in terms of close games. We just beat Baltimore by 1. You're welcome. Yeah. But
thanks.
Yeah, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a phenomenal game. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I hope you and Maggie have an amazing time there. Most of all.
Yeah.
And,
it's going to be so much. Either way, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. So, buddy, Mark, I appreciate you coming on the show, rocking and rolling with us. Have a fantastic time on Saturday, and we'll talk soon, bud.
Yeah, it sounds good. It's always good catching up with you, Tom. I love talking to you. Maybe I'll see you at the next pregame house party that people randomly have that I get invited to. This time I'll know who you are.
That is true.
This time I'll know who you are when you're stocking the beer fridge. I'm the only guy in Green Bay apparently that didn't know your name.
Oh, Green Bay was a time. That was a time. Was a time. Was a time.
At least there's always vegan toppers.
Dude, they came in so clutch. I will always love toppers just for that.
Right?
So clutch. So clutch. But folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.